Hello SFL, it's Gee and Will. We potting today. I'm a little sick, so sorry. Turn up your volumes, I guess.
Well, I mean, that when I got on, I was like, "It's low," and he's like, "No, I'm sick." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, you
Yeah,
know, you you are pushing through it, so I appreciate it."
yeah. Uh, we haven't done one of these in a while, and a lot has happened. So we gotta do this stuff. So many trades happened. Um, at the trade deadline 8 days ago, and we haven't talked about it.
Mhm.
So we're gonna
Well,
start here at the bottom.
okay.
Most
With the interesting one, I would say this is the interesting trade. I mean, obviously you got Laporta. You gave up a lot. Well, I wouldn't say you gave up a lot. You gave a lot of bench players. Watson had a big game last week.
Well, where are you starting at? Do you want to start at the top or the bottom?
I was sorry, I was at the bottom. Wasn't that the top? That's not the first one.
That's not the first one, man. We did
Oh,
more
okay.
than one page of trades.
Oh, jeez, my bad.
We did like almost two full pages of trades.
Where were you at then? Is it
Bo Nix, Justin Herbert.
Bo Nix and Justin Herbert?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's the one.
Well, okay. So we had that trade. Wait, didn't we have? No, I'm pretty sure the first trade. No, it's 21 days ago. Never mind. Go ahead. You're good.
All right. Rob gets Bo Nix and Jordan Addison, and he gave up Justin Herbert uh, to Kyle Daly. So Justin Herbert already had his bye week.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Nix has not yet, but Bo Nix has actually been outscoring Justin Herbert.
Well, he's the number 5 quarterback in the league. Like he's outscoring Purdy.
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah,
I was looking at that today. I was looking at rankings, looking at my team, and looking at other people's teams as far as like how their breakdown works, and just to see Bo next to that high, obviously.
yeah.
And then you get Jordan Addison, who is the second best receiver on that team. So
He's
and they
he's
throw the
hit or
ball up.
miss though. That's the thing.
He is very much so, but he's a great bye week throw in, kind of thing.
Hmm.
He's there with an injury, he can throw him in. So he's like that sixth man in basketball, but he's like the sixth man in fantasy that you can throw in every once in a while. And so, good for him. And I'm not sure about the Kyle's move, but I understand why in his explanation that he just doesn't want any more bye weeks. He wants to have his whole team because he needs to make the playoffs.
And yeah, he got Justin Herbert. Who, to be fair, Justin Herbert has been a lot better the last couple of weeks or
Mhm.
so. Seems like they're passing the ball more
and he's
after the
and
bye
he's
week.
letting them run too. Like he's letting them. Like, he didn't run at all last year. Granted, he was hurt a lot, but he's got confidence this year
Hmm.
to run the ball. So, I don't know if you saw that video of the two of them where they were like, "We're gonna run it, but let's talk about how we're gonna throw it." Because they were on a timeout and they were faking like they were gonna throw it the entire time, but they had already said we're gonna run it at the very beginning. So it was great how the psyche is. They're going on all cylinders. So I think the Chargers are going to be going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. I think they're going to
I
really
agree.
make some impact.
I agree. Um, Going on to the next trade, we had Braylon Allen for Jalen Waddle, and I just feels like who was it that said it? They're trading shit for poop. I think
Yeah,
I think this is Kyle's own saying, and yeah, there's Kyle and Adi, and I don't think we really need to talk about that one.
only thing I can say is I am really shocked with Kyle. I know obviously he likes the young rookies and younger players,
Hmm.
but Jalen Waddle has had a bad year. He might have an uptick. Tua getting back, I think this was a huge win for Adi. So good for him. Even though I agree it might not be anything.
Yeah, who knows? Is Jalen Waddle gonna get back? It doesn't look like he Tua's been back for a little bit. hasn't really happened much, but there's still time until the end of the season. Uh, then we had a big trade between Dylan and I. We swapped quarterbacks, Mac Jones, or Trevor Lawrence, and Matt Stafford. I got Mac Jones as the insurance policy for Trevor Lawrence while he's injured, and
Mm-hmm.
I got Drake London and gave him Tony Pollard. I had what I felt four running backs that I could start every single week on my roster. I can only legally start three of them, honestly, if I want to start two quarterbacks every week. So I needed
Mm-hmm.
to move one running back, and I wanted to move up on wide receiver, and I went for Drake London, who's been having a good year so far.
I'm shocked that you gave up the number one quarterback, number one player, MVP, as you talked about in the draft,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
for it. But and of course he showed you up, getting 45 points last week.
yep,
Um, but you know, Tony Pollard in that offense, it looks like they're putting Spears a lot more in that offense. At
yep.
least the last game.
It
Yeah,
does feel that way. It feels like they're giving him less touches now.
which is I still don't understand because Pollard runs so much better. He's such a better runner than that. But whatever. It's going to be an interesting event as far as if Trevor Lawrence comes back.
Yeah,
I
if he
think that
comes
you have a
back.
chance to win this trade. Right now, you lose this trade even with getting a quarterback and a wide receiver, which you needed. I mean,
Yeah,
it was a good trade from both of your sides, but I think he wins it unless Trevor Lawrence comes back.
I agree. And Matt Stafford, I mean, he's really good, right? Like he's he's had like one rough game since he's gotten both of his receivers back. When he got both Cooper and Puka back, it was 40, 29, 17, 45. So, rough game against Miami, who has a good defense, but the other games
I'm
were
not a
decent.
fan of it because they're not giving the ball to Kyron right now.
Yeah,
Last game they was just throwing the ball around, so hopefully that changes and they get more balanced.
another quarterback trade going on to the next trade. We got Adi and Dehaz had a big trade. So Dehaz went for Joe Burrow, who looks like he could finish. Not could. He's probably going to finish as the QB2 this year. He's caught absolutely on fire since week 9. He's got a bye week this week, but over 40 points 3 weeks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in order to get Joe Burrow, he gave up Geno Smith, Jonathan Taylor, and Debo Samuel.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Taylor is a big one. Taylor didn't have a good week last week, but he's looking very good. Still looking very prime to be the number one option in that offense. And then you got Gino, who had a great week last week. Debo he's been so injury prone all year long. So I get it. I feel like it's a lot of value for the quarterback, especially because he kind of, after making fun of me about taking away all of his depth, he has no depth on that team now. D Haas's team is just,
He's going straight up
yeah,
for the starting roster, and
yeah,
sometimes that works. Um,
maybe,
unless people get hurt, and then you get
yeah.
screwed. But
It's,
yeah,
it's almost like he's planning on that.
I feel like he gave up two guys that are there in name only.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Jonathan Taylor and Debo Samuel are just names now. Um, they haven't been
Taylor's been having a
performing.
good weeks every once in a while.
He started out hot, and then he got hurt, and then he quite hasn't been the same once he's gotten back.
Mm-hmm. And he
Uh,
also has a bye week, week 14. Again, going back to the
True.
strategy of that perspective, he lost him for injury, but now he'll get him back uh, for the playoffs. But week 14, D Haas might need to win the way that's going.
Yeah,
Think to go from 4-1 or 5-1. He's doing the reverse Gee
the reverse
from
key.
last year. He's
Yeah.
5-1, looking good. Lost 5 in a row. He's got to put something together.
Wouldn't it be funny if Diaz lost out every single game for the rest of the season?
It would be hilarious.
Um, but I think that was an interesting trade, good trade. I think getting Joe Burrow on your team is huge for Diaz.
Yeah, I get it. He needed a stud quarterback, CJ Stroud and everything else, which is coming up later in this trade too. I think
Okay,
maybe
and
that was the
then
last trade.
And then we'll go on to my second and last trade of the trade deadline, which was the one where I got Laporta from Kyle, and I gave him three waiver wire wide receivers, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, Watson had a good game last week. Obviously, I thought he was going to be. I drafted him. I thought he was going to be the number one in that offense.
Yeah,
Had a good week last week, but yeah, Tolbert. That offense is just so terrible right now. Even with Ferguson out, he still didn't have
yeah.
that great of a game. So
There's more mouths to feed now too. He was like kind of popping off when people were hurt.
well, I mean, listen, Laporta, if he is healthy, if he gets back healthy this week,
Yeah.
that's great for you. But obviously, it's a stash in a way, kind of thing. If he gets the playoffs, you
Laporta
can
is
do
just a
some.
name just as now, right? As of like just like I was talking about Jonathan Taylor or Debo Samuel, he's just a name.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been performing, and I think like both teams are kind of just hoping that the people that we're getting from the other one magically blow up and
Mm-hmm.
are end up being good somehow along the way. So uh, I think I don't know. I think it works for both teams. I had a lot of wide receivers, like just waiver wire wide receivers on my team, and Kyle had none. He really needed the depth, so I think it works out for both of us.
Yeah.
The next trade, Magic Skull Bus and Kyle again. With all these trades, Kyle is just all over the place here.
Well, listen, I've been hating on Kyle in my videos about him not making moves because he just had been stagnant, and he did. He was ready to go. I thought he got. I thought he gave away way too much value here.
I think this is a bad trade for him.
Yeah,
So I've been talking shit. So for people who are just listening, Kyle gives up Rashad White and Khalil Shakir to, in his mind, make an upgrade at running back to Aaron Jones. So he's giving up Khalil Shakir to upgrade Rashad White into Aaron Jones, is what this trade is. Um, and I would have said that's an awesome trade earlier in the season, but after Chris Godwin got hurt, I don't even think it's an upgrade. Rashad White is back to his last season self, catching a lot of targets now that Chris Godwin is gone. And I feel like he just lost Khalil Shakir for no reason.
yeah. No, I agree. I was trying to get Shakir from him for 6, 7 weeks, before the Cooper trade. Before that happened, Shakir was the one I wanted. And I was giving him stuff, and granted, maybe it definitely wasn't Aaron Jones, a starting running back, but to get a starting running back for a starting running back and Shakir, I think it was a great Dylan trade. It was also, again, sometimes these trades happen so much easier on the trade deadline because people are wanting to make a move. They're seeing people move, and they want to be part of it, just like I always want to be part of it. I want to be part of the movement.
Hmm. Uh, didn't who started with Rashad White on their team?
I don't know. Looks like D Haas, right? No, or is it Kyle? He didn't drop
No,
him.
it was Dylan started. That's what I thought it was. Dylan started with Rashad White this season, traded it to Kyle, and then traded him back.
Well, I traded Dalton Kincaid and I got him back, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah,
So
coming up soon. Next trade, talking about you managed to squeeze AJ Brown out of D Haas. You had to.
I thought I was going to lose out all night. Like I was going back and forth with you and Dylan and everyone about some big trades. There were some
Mhm.
even Audie. We had some big trades on the board that I had to really really think about, and declined all of them. But then this trade happened like we were right at like 11:30, 11:45. Like it was like one of those like way past the deadline, and I had been really wanting to keep Mike Evans. But I mean, listen, you're getting AJ Brown. I'll take that all day.
I feel like AJ Brown is just a name. Jalen Hurts sucks so bad, man. She's
I know, but
so
he's
bad.
still it's talk about targets, right? And like Cortland Sutton has had some great games, and obviously Bo Nix, as we talked about earlier, is one of those top quarterbacks. But if you look at the last couple games, even though he might get 6 or 7 targets, they're throwing to the tight ends a lot more. They're throwing to everyone. Like he is spreading the ball around. Bo Nix, that is.
Yeah,
So I don't think Cortland Sutton is should be high as he is. And then Evans, man, is so injury prone.
yeah, he is.
Like he's they said he's practicing this week. Is he really gonna play? No one knows.
And
So
if he plays, how many snaps is he gonna do? It's only like one route before he pulls his hammy again. Watching the Bucks play is like you always see Mike Evans limp off after every single play. Like you see him catch a ball and then he limps off to the sideline all the
and I
time.
and I know AJ Brown's been hurt, but AJ Brown just reminds me of a one of those old type of guys. Like he might get hurt. If he's hurt, he's not playing. Like 100% not gonna play. But if he's like injured, the man's playing, and like he just fights through it. So I'm I needed to really tell you the truth on number one. I have a lot of good wide receivers to get targets, but not a number one. So that's why I did it. But we'll see. We'll see what that does
I
for
think
me.
D has got you on this one, but we'll
Yeah.
see. Maybe like Jalen Hurts is just going through some kind of slump,
Well,
and he'll get
like you, I
better.
had too many wide receivers that are starting wide receivers,
Yeah,
kind of thing where I'm having to think about do I start Downs or do I start, Mike Evans or Curtin Sutton? It was so many different things. So I was like, I got to get rid of something. Um, we'll go into the next trade, which was my trade. Obviously, I gave away, it was really a trade for Otten for Kincaid.
yeah.
Um, After getting rid of Evans, I said I want to get rid of all the Bucks guys. I guess um, it's probably not a great trade for me, but it was a risk that again I wanted to take. We're going back to the Buffalo Dax. Um, he might not play, so that's why I have Knox. So maybe it was a really bad trade for me, but um, I don't know. I wanted him back. That's what happened. I really wanted him back.
I think you're filling a roster too much. You
Yeah.
should have just let it be. You had a great roster. You had a great team. Why you gotta mess with it, Will?
I
Why?
don't know. I like to meddle, and it was. I saw everybody else having fun. I wanted to have fun too.
And the last trade of the night. Uh,
Which, wow, to end the
this
night
was a
on this
huge
trade.
one.
I don't get it. I I don't get it from a Martian law perspective. But you talk about names. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has been a
Wait, you
star
don't
for the
like
first.
what Roshan Law got?
I'm not a big fan. I mean, I think Mixon's a
Wow.
stud. I think Ridley is playing much better, obviously, in this offense without Hopkins. And Brock Bowers, of course, number one tight end still.
By
I,
far. I mean, there's only
I,
two real tight ends this season. Brock Bowers is a wide receiver.
I,
Look at
I get you. I mean, 46 points is a lot, but I don't know. I think that Puka is set for astronomical games
that's
the
true.
rest of the year,
That's true. Yeah.
and I know Henry has had a tough couple of games, but I don't see Henry. I see Henry in the playoffs being our fantasy playoffs having monster weeks. I know he does off week 14, but the Giants, they'll probably be up all game, so they'll run the ball. Pittsburgh will be in one of those nasty games, but I think that as far as you talking about playoffs and making their team better, because these are two playoff teams, where these guys are probably no, they're one game below me. They're definitely making the playoffs. I would say by points and just in general. I think that playoff wise, I think that Victor helped his team a lot more.
I mean, Calvin
But we'll see.
Ridley is a. How often is he gonna get played on Rob's team? Maybe you're right. I don't know, man. That tight end advantage of Brock Bowers is very big.
No, I get you. I get you. And I'm not looking at Victor's team right now. I'm going to go to it right now. But like, what? what is his actual tight end? So he's going with Dallas from Philadelphia as his number one. I I mean that's probably the worst part of the trade. So I'll give
He's
you that.
losing. He's losing 12 points per game. It's like
Yeah.
10 to 12 points or something like that per game on the tight end slot on this trade.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong because of the Joe Mixon Bowers. I mean, he could have gone Mixon and Bowers and have been a fair trade. Because Mixon's a stud, and they are,
Yeah.
and he looks healthy. He looks right, and that offense, he's going to be perfect for them. So
For those who don't know the trade, because we haven't really said it, Rob gave up Derrick Henry and Puka Nakua to Victor to get back Joe Mixon, Ramondre Stevenson, Calvin Ridley, and Brock Bowers. So he got more depth, and he also got two very good studs in their respective position.
I mean, I think his thing, and Grant Ladd had a great week. Was it Ladd had a great week last week? I can't remember now. Um, he needed depth in the wide receiver. That's his worst thing. And
Yeah.
now he's starting McBride and Bowers at tight end, two wide receiving tight ends. He'll start two tight ends the rest of the year, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, listen, he's got two great quarterbacks. He's not a team that I want to see in the playoffs. Kind of thing. I don't want to
One
see
of the
either of these
best,
teams in the
yeah, one of the
playoffs.
best teams in the league, for sure.
So,
Um, Talking about best teams in the league, let's look at our playoff standings and our chances and stuff.
okay.
Um, so as it shapes up now, we have Midnight Ride as the winner of the Walters. We have Truck Stop Glory Hole as the winner of the Donnies. And we have Cream Pie Cupcake as the winner of the Dudes. So those are the three winners, and you getting the bye week with the best record in the league.
You know what's making me sick is that if I was in Cream Pie Cupcakes division, I've already clinched the division because his division's so
It's
terrible. In
so
my
bad.
division,
Yeah,
I could lose it very easily
yeah.
to
You
Rob.
have Rob who's only one game behind.
I know I could very easily lose to
Do you
Rob,
know who
and
has the head-to-head on you on that matchup?
would be me because I beat him. I
You
beat
beat
him
him
week
week
one
one. Okay,
or week three, whatever it was. Yeah,
but if he
we already
beats you and
will be
evens
tied and we
and
go
you
points.
tied and you go points,
And
yeah,
he's beating you by like 20 points.
yeah.
It's really close.
And but also if you guys just end up beating each other and we end up beating each other in our division and Victor's got the super easy division, he
I
can end up
know.
taking the bye, just because he plays some shit teams at the end of the year.
I know. So I mean, listen. The only good thing for me is Rob's team in week 14 has so many buys that I will have a really good shot of beating him there. But I'd have to win one of these two games against you and Gary to really make myself feel comfortable for the number one seed
Yeah.
instead of the division. The division I think that I could win, but number one I have to win against either this week or next week and Rob
Well,
to
you
get the.
you can feel safe. I think you and Rob and Victor and Truck Stop Glory Hole. There are four teams that are clearly what I would consider the favorites to win the whole thing, and it would be yourself, Victor, Jordan, and Rob. I would say the four of you are my favorite teams to win the championship. It's going to be one of you guys.
It just means that freaking Dylan's gonna win somehow.
um, and all of you are pretty safe into getting into the playoffs because even if you get knocked out, I mean, you're not going to get knocked out, but even if some, like, let's say Truck Stop Glory Hole gets unlucky and loses these three division games and 6 wins isn't enough to get into the playoffs, he'll still get in by points. You guys are
Mm-hmm.
so far ahead in points that it's okay. So let's go into the and that goes for the four teams that I said are the favorites. So it's pretty safe to feel like the four of you are going to make it into the playoffs. And then we have the guys that are on the cusp of making it in, that are fighting for it. Right now, I'm the favorite in the wild card spots, the three wild card spots, because I am one win ahead. But again, I am in a very tough division. I'm going to have to play both you and Rob and Gary.
Hmm.
Um, I could end up losing all three of these games, so let's be honest. Very
Yeah.
possible. Um,
And with your points, it's not helpful.
so uh, the next two teams, or we have one, two, three, four teams that are 5 and 6. That's D Haas, Holden, Human, and Kyle. Four
And
of you guys, 5 and 6.
yeah, and Human and Kyle play each other. Haas and Holden will play each other once.
Yeah,
So that's going to be helpful. Dylan is gonna have to win his next three. I feel like, even with his points, I don't. I agree with you. I think something the effect of either Haas or you lose, let's say two of the three or three of
yeah,
the three or whatever.
yeah.
He needs to win all three to make the playoffs because I don't think he's going to outpace you guys in points, even if you guys get knocked out because of record.
He might. Dylan did the smart thing in the trading deadline, which is like he was talking about. He got rid of all his bye week players, so he's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be fielding his best possible roster the rest of the year. If Matt Stafford keeps, he just had a 200-point game, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he can't, even though he's 50 points behind myself in points. So the actual, let's go over here. The leaders in points for the season. Rob's first, then comes Jordan, then comes you, then comes Victor, and then those are the S tier teams. Like I've said before, you all have over 2,000 points or close to it. Victor is kind of like slightly below you guys. The other three, and then comes another tier where is Dihas, who has 50 more points than I do, but Dihas' team has been shit for the last couple of weeks, so he might end up dropping off. Um, then comes me, and then another 50 points behind me is Dylan. And then that starts another tier where it's Dylan, Holden, Gary, and Audie are all within 50 points of each other. So really clumped up there. They need to get 50, beat each other, and get 50 points to catch up to me, and then 100 points to catch up to Dehas because Dehas is 50 points
Mm-hmm.
ahead of me. So I honestly think people are gonna be rooting for Dehas to get into the play because this is so weird. Because now that we have this new rule about points scored, I think people will be rooting for Dehas to get into the playoffs naturally
Yeah. Oh
because
yeah, 100%.
then they don't have to worry about his points scored because like you have the teams like Dylan who's 4-7, Audie who's 2-9, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they have a chance to get into the playoffs with a very losing record as long as they can score enough points,
Yeah, it'd be sick if Adi, who proposed the rule, found a way from last place into the playoffs.
right? Yeah, absolutely crazy. Um,
And to think, what's the longest losing streak? Because he's lost eight now.
yeah. Dylan
That's
had just
crazy.
posted it. I
I
think it
know. I
might have
didn't. I
been
remember.
9.
Crazy. So to go 2-1, here's the good thing for him. He was 2-1 in the division. He was leading the division
Yeah,
after week 3. So he
and
can't play against
he
anybody else because
left
that's
the
his
division.
division.
Yeah, it was absolute shit division. Lost to everyone. That's so funny.
Yes. So maybe he's actually looking at his shot. He's like, great, I get to play division people, for the rest of the thing. And I think for sure. Now, granted, let's take away the points people, right? Let's take away just people that are scoring points. I would not put the realm of possibility that a 5-9 team might make the top 6 seed. It's a possibility. 6 and 8,
You think
even a
so?
higher one.
You think so?
Well, like let's say that all the big. Let's say that the top 4 teams as you described
Mm-hmm.
all win, right? They win
Went out.
their games.
Yeah.
Obviously, myself and Martian Law will lose one of our games because we play each other. But let's say Cream Pie sweeps his division, and let's say Truck Stop sweeps his division. So you've got 11-3 and 9-5. That would put people at, you know, maybe 6 and 8. 6 and 8 is probably the biggest, but 6 and 8 might make the playoffs without needing points.
Yeah.
And if that happens, well, let's think about that. If that happens, we would go from point. Let's say there's a bunch of 6 and 8 teams, or 5 through 7. I guess you go points for all of them, right? Or I guess they go Division 2.
I don't know if we'll have an 8-loss team in the playoffs. Maybe. Oh, you might be right.
Just
I,
because we're a little top heavy.
we are a little top heavy. I don't know. I have a feeling that like the natural wild card spots are going to be taken by 2 7-7 teams. I feel like 5 and 6 are going to be taken by 7 and 7 teams. Maybe it is going to be like a 7 and 7 and a 6 and 8 that get in on the two wild
Yeah,
cards.
maybe.
Yeah, but we do have like some top heavy because. But let's be honest. So Cream Kai sweeps his division. There's nobody there that's competing to get into the wild card, right? Let's be honest. Nobody in that division is going to get wild card.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
we got
yeah, you're right.
Human, Kyle, and Audie.
Mm-hmm.
Audie is not getting any. He's 2 and 9. Uh, maybe Kyle traded enough to make his team like super good or something. But I don't know, and I, I just don't feel good about these teams making it in wild card style.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I were gonna say
Out of the
that
ball, Kyle would be the one, right?
Kyle and Human are the two teams that I feel like are not gonna make the playoffs.
Really?
I feel like pretty confident about saying like, yeah, I don't think these teams are making the playoffs
I,
at this
you
point.
know, Kyle doesn't love me sometimes, but I think Kyle is going to make it this year. I think he did enough. I think he's
Okay,
going to get 7 games.
okay, I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna take that back. There is the chance that Kyle gets lucky against Victor and wins that game, and then just beats Human and Audio like flat up, and then he has a winning record. He like makes the playoff because his division is shit.
Mm.
Right? He only needs to get lucky one game. He gets lucky one game, he gets 3 wins. That's an 8-win team. 8-win teams are making the playoffs.
And he plays him this week. So,
Because if he's 7 and 7, he has to hope that somebody else is 6 and 8 because his points scored is probably gonna get him knocked off on the tiebreakers.
probably true. I guess that is true. I mean, I see him probably as a 7-7 team. I see he probably loses this week, but he might beat Razor's Edge and Campbell's and goes 7-7. But with that, you know, he would be 7-7. I don't see Dylan winning all 3 games in this division.
No, it's
I don't think
rough.
I don't think he can beat Truck Stop Glory Hole. I got lucky against Truck Stop Glory Hole this week, so I'll take that.
He
I
has
got
been the
very lucky.
most unlucky team this season.
Who, Dylan?
Truck stop glory hole.
Oh yeah, I got lucky this week. I could guarantee that there was no reason I should have won that game, but it happened, so I'll take it. And I lost to Human this year, so we all lose to people that you're not supposed to lose to.
Yeah. Uh. Yeah. Anything else you want to go over here in the playoffs? What do you?
No, no. I mean, I think that obviously we didn't say it, but right now, if it ended, Holden would be out and Dylan would be in,
With the
and
points?
so that would be the playoffs with Dylan playing
And D Haas
Cream Pie.
would also be in at the moment because we.
Correct. D Haas would be 6. Like this whole thing would be different. The only thing different is number 7 would be
Yeah.
Mattress Skull Bus,
Yeah.
and then whoever won, the lowest seed would play me, and then everybody else would play everybody else. If this is what the playoffs look like, because I was like, this is terrible. Martial versus Guillotine. I don't want to play the winner of that, kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
Dylan reminded me that it is that we reseed every playoff, so I would get the lower of the seeds.
Oh,
But
number one always gets the lowest. Is that what it is?
well, it just yeah. So when we reseeded the semis, so if let's say D Haas upset Jordan,
You would play
then
D
I would
Haas.
play D Haas, unless of course Dylan beat Victor kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it wouldn't naturally just be like this, which I like, which is also football. That's how they do it in the NFL. So um, you know we really do a good thing of making it fairly realistic for being fantasy.
Yeah.
Um, I know you don't want to talk about it too much, but I did want to say something about for this week that we're coming up as far as the teams playing this week. A lot of big games. Obviously, you got myself and you playing.
Which
You
both
need to
of us
win.
are like. Look at all these bye weeks. When you look at our,
Oh yeah,
you got all your Buffalo guys, which
yeah,
is like half your team.
yes. Well, Dalton Knox was my bandage because I lost Kittle. Kittle couldn't play last week, so I had to get another one.
We're
But
both
yeah,
missing
no,
two. We're both No, you got Bryce Young. Does he even count as a quarterback?
I know, but he's at least he's gonna get like at least hopefully 10 points.
Yeah.
Like at his lowest of lows. So that's my only hope. Hopefully the Porter plays for you. I think you will. If he doesn't, you're gonna start Leggett because of the Bryce Young situation.
Oh, right. To cock block. I
Yeah,
yeah. If Laporta doesn't play, yeah, I'm definitely starting to look at like
good.
I have no choice because I'm probably gonna drop Juju Smith-Schuster.
Okay, gotcha. Well, either way, we're very close in points because it's the bye week, madness kind of thing. But I, I think the big game of the week is going to be Kyle, and because he needs to win,
He needs to win. He
and
needs to
I
win.
need Victor to lose. So I'm really on the Kyle bus. I'm cheering for Kyle this week. Um, I'm hoping Hurts has a big game because that means AJ Brown has a big game. That's what I'm hoping for.
Hmm.
But he's doing what you guys all told me not to do. He's starting Watson. And Christian Watson is the third best receiver on the team. So good luck to him. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Well, I think that covers it, guys. We'll see you next week, hopefully.
Yep. See ya.
Later, y'all.